Energy protection from toxic connections. We started yesterday, if you weren't in the webinar, and thank you everyone for being part of the webinar because it's really pushing my system to move, and a lot came up for me before the webinar, after the webinar, and during the night. So thank you to everybody who's sharing the diamonds and reading the diamonds. It was really making it clearer and clearer. I never realized what's going to come out in these webinars because it's coming through directly and connecting to the field of the group, even the future group who would be involved in it. So it was interesting how yesterday evening's webinar there was a lot of dissociation around frozen imprints, and also especially this part of us that believes from this inner child part that say had to step in between mom and dad, that we know better. So we missed our childhood. So we know better than everybody else. And this knowing better part of us, we sort of tapped into other people's dysregulated nervous systems and also became responsible for theirs before our own, so to speak. So there's the entanglement in the system. Now, when I sit today with it, what's coming in strong is, and it came in the night, was a lot of emotional blackmail, trauma responses as well from stepping between parent systems. But when I say that, I mean epigenetic as well. I'm talking about all the way through the ancestral line, this blackmail part, this emotional blackmail, and the toxicity of that, that we do ourselves. Gaslighting as well, I feel is very strong in the system. So this evening's one I want to work on gaslighting, emotional blackmail, and sabotaging oneself. But I want to emphasize what we did yesterday, really, which was very, very important. And it was the parts of us that get frozen as a child when there's mom and dad fighting or freaking out. And we have this frozen aspect. So in life, it means that we're going to be frozen when there is confrontation, fear of fear of speaking out, or maybe we speak out with frozen aspects and then we actually create more damage. So within this frozen part, there was also in the webinar yesterday, and it came up very strong, was the part of us that it would become frozen and stepped into those minefields, or stepped into the part that, as say, we know better, and then we miscommunicate. We're not in clear communication and grounded communication, which can resolve and go deeper into relationship with oneself and the people around us. So there was a lot of setups in the system of toxic relationships around miscommunication and misunderstandings on both sides. And this was very, very strong with this frozen aspect and the part that I know better. What's coming up as well today when I was really sitting with it was the part of us that would know better as a child, would step between systems, but also step into their nervous system of the people around us, and then also their knowing, so their channel. So we're confused between, is that my channel information or is it not? Or else I'm being hijacked, or I allow myself to step into other people's knowing before my own. So it means there's a disrespect in my own life towards my knowing and my journey and what's good for me and what's good for my system, that I'm sabotaging my life journey for other people's journeys. And we can do this to others. We can entrap others through this emotional blackmail, through these old trauma bonds. So the toxicity is a very, very interesting topic to work within our own systems. And as I say, what's coming up in the webinar is not something that I really expected. I was waiting for other things to come up and work through, but I realized then later last night that we addressed a lot of mother, father, toxicity topics, child topics within the other webinars. And this is really going into really the core topics related to toxicity, why it's in our lives, why it's playing out in our lives, why it's still there, and why we're not taking good care of ourselves and also the people around us. So tonight's webinar, I feel, will go deeper, and I want to really address, clear boundaries, emotional boundaries, energetic boundaries within the system that you're not stepping between systems, and also clear gaslighting from the system and emotional blackmail from the system, or entrapment within these games of self, abandoning self, abusing self. So it's really everything's about ourselves. A part of us which has abandoned ourselves, or sabotaged ourselves, or is afraid of changing ourselves. So this fear of change is very strong. So it's the Stockholm syndrome. And this is something where in tonight's webinar, I really want to reconnect, and bring up your core essence, not who you are in this life, but really your core essence. Because who we are in this life, who are we in this life? And they came up very strong, like in last night's webinar, was, you know, am I being myself? Am I really being myself? Is that really me? Or is it a series of patterns or dissociation or mind games? So power struggles. So this is really a huge field to work with. And thank you to everybody for challenging me to go into it myself, because I have to say it wasn't easy the last days. And they're really big fields of information to drop into. And they're really, for me, very, very important. As I unravel from them and close the systems, I can see why and what and how important this is, this work. So I really want to honor all of you for being on this journey with me, and for being in these uncomfortable zones with me, and trusting myself to hold space for you. And I really honor you and respect you for that. And yeah, it's really to go back to your inner. So what I want to do really this evening is to really honor your inner, and what's good for your inner, what's good for you, what do you need, what's your needs, who are you on a deeper inner level, not the programmed level, not the dissociated level, not the traumatized level, but the inner level. And to have an inner relationship with this inner level on a much deeper level within your lives, which then will reflect it on the outer level of your life. So yeah, once again, thank you for everyone for your sharings, for being in the webinars. Thank you for pushing me in a way to move forward. And I want to thank God for bringing in these webinars, the divine intelligence, because it's really connected to our inner, and then it has a reflection part within our lives, in our relationships, in our friendships, and in the world around us. So thank you, everybody. And yeah, if you weren't there yesterday evening, the recordings are there in the Academy now from yesterday, and you can drop it later if you want, or watch at a later date. And these are challenging fields, they are strong fields, and it will allow you to break free from them. And there will be a lot of resistance to go into these fields. And it's obvious because our system doesn't want to change. It's the Stockholm syndrome. So for me, it's a huge relief and release to be out of them, and to really connect to the inner part. We deserve that. We deserve that. No matter what part of your life, you deserve to be connected to your core inner, and live it and feel it and be it. Thank you, everyone.